Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm so excited for this video because this is something that really needs to be talked about all in the world. And today I actually just had a presentation with my English class about this topic. This is something that I chose to talk about, and I think that the 5 people that I presented to over Microsoft Teams was not enough. So I'm here to tell you all about this topic today, and I'm very excited about it because I'm passionate about God, and that's all that needs to be said about that. Obviously, I don't want this to be like a presentation because I'd rather just talk to you like I'm your friend, because I am. Like, come on. And if you're new here, then hello, we're now friends. So today, we're talking about, if you didn't read the title, which you probably did because that's why you clicked on this video. Today I'm going to be talking about abstinence and waiting until marriage to have sex, the biblical versions, and just to wait because you want to wait. Like, you don't have to be a Christian to wait until marriage. There are so many reasons why people should wait until marriage, not because of being Christian. But obviously that's the best reason for waiting, because you want to honor God. You want to honor the body that He gave you to your husband. So let's get into this video. I have my computer because I have a PowerPoint presentation which has like a ton of information, and then I also have these handy flashcards. Obviously this conversation is really uncomfortable for people. I was honestly a little bit uncomfortable talking about this because, like, who wants to talk about sex? Like, I don't want to talk about sex. I don't even want to think about sex. But it needs to be talked about because it's not talked about enough. Teenagers are making bad decisions because we're not talking about it. And I'm not bashing anyone who has had sex before. I'm not here to tell you, like, you're a bad person because you had sex. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I would not treat you any differently if you had sex. But I'm just here to spread the word and try to convince you to wait until marriage, because it is going to be a life changer for you, I promise. And if you've already had sex but you want to switch it up and you want to wait, and after this video you're like, bruh, like, I'm going to wait until marriage, it's not too late. Like, just because you've had sex, you can ask God for forgiveness and He will forgive you, and then you can be like a reborn virgin. This is me editing, and I just want to add a couple more things that I missed out when I was talking about this. I wanted to mention that even if you have made some mistakes in your life, like, girl, you're gonna make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. We're human. That's just what happens. Jesus will always forgive you, and He's always going to love you, and I'm going to love you too, because if Jesus loves you, obviously I am going to love you too. You might not want to wait until marriage as soon as you finish watching this video, but I really just encourage you to grow your relationship with Jesus, because as you grow your relationship and become closer with Him, you will want to do more things for Him and to honor Him. So I just really encourage that you fill that hole that is inside of you, because I know some people feel empty inside, and I promise you the only thing that will fill that gap is Jesus. So I wanted to start out with some statistics, because these facts are like mind-blowing to me. So I wanted to share them with you guys. So the first one is that, actually, why am I using note cards? I have a presentation right here. The numbers of people that are waiting has decreased from the past couple years. So in 1950, the percentage of people that wanted to wait until marriage was 11%, and now in 2017, I don't know exactly the year that they did this study, but 3% of Americans successfully wait until marriage, which is about 10 million people. It still is a lot of people, but 3% of the population doesn't really sound like much to me. Out of a college study, 46.6% of students claimed they didn't use any protection during sexual intercourse because they weren't concerned about getting a disease. Ugh. You don't want diseases. Symptoms of loneliness, depression, and anxiety increase in teenagers who have hookups, especially those who regret it. Obviously, your mental health is going to decrease if you regret having sex with a ton of people. Some teens who lose their virginity at a young age lose focus on school, sports, and finding their identity. Instead, they focus on whether they have AIDS, are pregnant, were used, or if their relationship will go any further with that person. So, yeah, it just totally, like, imbalances the teenage brain and, like, allows you to focus on things that you shouldn't even be focused on. Like, you should not be focusing on if you're pregnant or not. That's not something I want to worry about. I'm worrying about whether I have an A in chemistry. Like, I'm not worrying about if I'm pregnant. Again, I'm not bashing anyone. I sound like I'm being really rude. But these statistics, just like, I don't understand. I don't want anyone to get hurt because I care about you guys so much. And my heart just breaks in thinking that someone could go through, especially a girl. Like, I'm a girl, I know how boys have influenced me in the past, and I just don't want any of you guys to go through anything that I went through or anything that any other of my friends or anyone to go to. I feel for you guys, and I'm just trying to help you because I don't want you to make mistakes that other people have made because it's just not worth it at all. As teen sexual activity has increased in the past 25 years, the number of victims of depression and suicide has tripled. And I know that there's other correlations. It's not just sexual activity that causes depression and suicide, but like, it is a big factor, and you might not think about it now, but it's really serious. The chances of getting divorced if you waited until marriage is 5%, and if you have two partners, the divorce rate is 30%. And the reason that is because commitment and standards decrease as you have sex with more people. A study of 1,500 undergraduate students after having sex, 27% felt embarrassed, 24% reported emotional difficulties, 20% experienced loss of respect, and 10% reported difficulties with a steady partner. When you have sex with someone, your body commits to that person and it makes breakups more difficult. So this is not just something that is in the Bible. It says that when two fleshes have sex, they bond into one flesh, like a head and a body. I don't know if it's the woman is the head and the guy is the body or vice versa, but that is in the Bible. And actually, that is scientifically proven too. When you have sex with someone, hormones release in your body and it emotionally connects you to that person. I don't know exactly what the hormone is called, but I definitely recommend doing some more research about that because, like, it's not a joke. Your body actually commits to that person. That's why when you have sex with someone, that makes that breakup and that separation so much harder because you committed to that person by having sex. And then some background information on this topic. If you are Muslim, having sex before marriage is forbidden. Believers must save themselves for their spouse. So this is all the research that I did. If you are Muslim or like a different religion or anything, I'm just reading what I did my research on. It could be different than what you believe because you're obviously that religion, so you know what people believe. Christians wait until marriage. I know a lot of Christians that do not wait until marriage, but I know that if you are Christian or like religious, the rate of you waiting until marriage is way higher than someone that does not have religious beliefs. The Bible states that God wants us to wait until marriage to have sex. If you look at someone lustfully, you're committing adultery of the heart. Most Jewish authorities disapprove of premarital sex. And then I did a poll on Instagram about if people were going to wait until marriage, and 23% of people said that they wanted to wait until marriage, and 77% said that they were not going to wait until marriage. And that was all like teenagers, it wasn't adults. If you are waiting, why? And 34 voted religious and 24 voted health-based. I also did a poll asking people why they were waiting and why it's important to you. And so these are the answers from teenagers that said that they wanted to wait, and you will see how the responses are way different from people that said that they did not want to wait. I believe in soul ties and I want to be tied to my person. Relationships shouldn't be based on physical affection, rather trust. It's like your first kiss. Whoever you lose it to, you will remember forever. which I agree completely with those statements. And there's a bunch of other ones too that are really interesting. And then these are the answers to people who are not waiting. Full send, why wait for something fun? 'Cause it's fun, yo. F life, why not? And I can answer that question of why wait for something fun. If you're experiencing sex outside of marriage, you're not experiencing fun. You're experiencing sin. And the reason that you think it's fun now is because you're like, I love this person so much, but God did not create sex for it to be something that was fun. He created, well, it is supposed to be fun, but in marriage with the person that you are supposed to be with for the rest of your life. It's not intended to have it outside of marriage with someone that you're not going to marry, because you commit to that person through your body. A couple years ago, I really got into the Christian faith and I surrendered my life to God, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to live my life for God. And so I went through his commandments, and I was like, okay, if God wants me to wait until marriage to have sex, then that's what I'm going to do, because I want to honor him and myself by doing this. And I also didn't like the stereotype that people had to fish around and try to have sex with a bunch of different people to see who was sexually compatible, because that's just not it. It doesn't matter if your partner is sexually compatible. If you love that person, then it's not going to matter how good they are in bed. And if you're a virgin, you're not going to have anything to compare them to. So why does it matter if you wait until marriage? If you're both on the same track, you're both learning at the same time. It's a learning experience that you get to do with your husband, and you get to have that intimate relationship with them that God intended for you to have. And then for my project, I interviewed 2 adults that regretted having sex before marriage. And this is their response. I asked them a couple questions. So for the first person, I asked, why do you regret not waiting? And she said, I felt guilty. It was expected and I felt used after. Why do you think having sex is normal in society? It was expected to happen. TV was very liberal in the UK. After 9 p.m., anything was aired, usually of a sexual nature. And I agree with that. There's just so much media on the internet and stuff that you can just see, and there's so many sexual scenes and stuff. There's no consequences for that. And then the second person, why do you regret not waiting? For moral and spiritual reasons, but thankfully God knew my heart and gave me enough forgiveness to allow me to marry the man I didn't wait with. 18 years later, we're still here, but my story is rare, and it usually doesn't go that way for people who didn't wait. So she was saying just skip all of that and wait for your husband. She was lucky enough to marry the person that she committed herself to, but she just said that she regrets it because she didn't honor God. She said God knew her heart, and he knew that she didn't really mean it, but she obviously asked for forgiveness and he gave that to her. Why do you think having sex is normal in society? In my opinion, it seems kids just want to grow up so quickly. Maybe the consequences don't seem real, or they think it won't happen to them, pregnancy, diseases, etc. Social media has a huge impact. We didn't have social media to influence our decisions. Also, curiosity has a lot to do with it. I agree with that. Social media, I feel like people have to feel like they want to be accepted, or that they want to fit into a friend group. There's also a lot of peer pressure too. I feel like I've definitely been peer pressured by guys before, and it is just an ugly situation to be in. And yeah, if you're a guy watching this, please do not peer pressure girls, because I feel like we do give in pretty easily. I'm glad that I have changed and I'm not like that anymore, but I was really dumb and easily peer pressured when I was younger. And then I interviewed 2 adults that didn't wait to have sex before marriage. Why do you not regret it? I had my first daughter with my husband before we got married. If it weren't for having her, I would have wished I had waited. So this one is actually one of my family members, and we've talked about this before, and she is a huge God lover, and she would literally do anything for God. And so she did not wait until marriage. She wanted to wait until marriage, but I guess it didn't end up working, and she had her first child when she was not married. And then she said if it wasn't for having her, then she wished she would have waited. And I think that that's really important. The only reason that she doesn't regret it is because God gave her the gift of her child. Did you ever feel used or have negative thoughts afterwards? I didn't feel used until the person I lost my virginity to broke up with me. I honestly thought we were going to get married, which is why I had sex with him. So again, a lot of teenagers, they think that they're in love with someone. They get like, their head is like clouded with the thoughts that they think that they're going to marry this guy, and that's why they lose their virginity to him. That's just not the reality. When you're like in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, there's like literally no commitment to the rest of your life because you're not married, you're not engaged. Even when you're engaged, like there's no commitment there. When you get married, you commit to that person till death do you part. Person 2, why do you not regret it? Waiting until marriage wasn't something I felt strongly about. Did you ever feel used or have negative thoughts afterwards? I felt bullied into doing it, and I wish I would have waited until I was more comfortable and ready. I wish my parents hadn't forced it on me so much that I had to wait until marriage. My relationship with my parents wasn't the best, so I felt like I couldn't talk to them about that stuff. And I feel like that's also really important, like having a good relationship with your friends and your family so you can talk about that stuff and really like get advice on those topics. I just wanted to do these interviews to share with you guys some experience from older people and why they regretted it and why they didn't, and also to get some insight from teenagers and see how they reacted to this whole waiting until marriage thing, and then also some statistics to help the scientific part of it. Now, moving on, I did an interview with my youth minister, and he has some great pointers, like seriously amazing pointers for these topics, and so I would love to share with you guys some of that. Oh, I also wanted to mention about the statistic that was like depression and suicide triples when you have like sex. When I was doing my research, a girl was talking about her experience, and she said that when she had sex, she thought that she could not find love without using her body. And I was like, I feel so bad for you. Girl, I love you. And not because of your body, but because of your heart, because of your personality. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if no one else likes you. If you have a good heart and if you're doing the right things, then I'm going to love you. Someone in this world is going to love you for who you are and not just because of your body. You do not need to use your body for people to love you. There are billions of people in this world. There are people that will love you. I promise you, you will meet the right person, you will fall in love with them, and he is going to love you for who you are. So let's get into this interview now that I had that deep conversation. What does the Bible say about premarital sex? The Bible warns us to wait until marriage and tells us that sex is a gift for a husband and a wife to enjoy regularly. Don't restrict sexual relations unless necessary and only for short seasons. So what that means, I was kind of confused about that honestly at first. So don't restrict sexual relations in a marriage. So that means when your husband wants to have sex, give it to him. You have to be in marriage because that is what God intended it for. It's a gift that God gives you to share that intimacy with your husband or your wife. People often say that sex is just a physical act, so why not enjoy it now? But those same people would be horrified at a report of a rape. If sex is just a physical act, then rape would be no different than forcing someone to eat a cookie. Sex is more than that. It bonds people spiritually and psychologically. Again, with those emotions and spiritual bonds of those people. Why do you think having sex is normal in society? Statements like, you need to explore your sexuality, you need to find out if your partner is sexually compatible, and it's harmful to restrain from sexual urges, convinces that all cravings are healthy and young people aren't developing self-discipline in this area. When sexual scenes are shown, there are no consequences for those actions. Like fire, sex is natural and healthy. However, carelessly playing around with it is not. My youth minister has a website about like Christians and getting to know God better, so I will leave his website down in the description. He also has a YouTube channel, so I will leave that in the description box as well so you can follow him. As a person who waited, why do you recommend it and do you ever regret it? When we married, we were both virgins and we have never regretted it because we weren't carrying any baggage or diseases, in parentheses, and we get to enjoy intimacy with each other for the rest of our lives. We have 100% trust in each other. Even before we were married, our lives were so much happier than our friends that were sleeping around, and we were free of addiction to sex. That is true. You can be addicted to sex. It's not a myth, people. I completely agree with this statement. Me not having any worries about sex, my life is great. Like, I could not ask for anything better in my life because God, once I changed my life and surrendered my life to God, He literally changed everything that was bad and made it good. Like, guys, I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but my life did a 180 when I surrendered my life to Him. And I see a bunch of my friends that have lost their virginity and that are just focused on boys, and I think I'm ready to lose my virginity and things like that, and they're so unhappy. I just don't want my friends or anyone that is watching this video to get into that trap of, I need a boy and I'm going to use my body so that they will like me. Don't do that. And then I did an interview with the health department. I was on a phone call with the woman that does studies with STDs, and she is in the health department. So I asked her these questions. Are there any health concerns for people who have sex before marriage? The risk of getting STIs are the same for everyone. If teenagers are drinking and doing drugs, they could be higher at risk for these things. Why do you think having sex at a young age is normal in society? It is shown on TV, it's promoted and expected. Now teenagers have social media, so they could feel like they need to have sex to be accepted. Now teenagers don't usually go on traditional dates. And I think it's also about maturity level. As teenagers, we're not at the maturity level that we should be. And yeah, it's expected. When I was younger, I was like, okay, after I'm in a relationship with a guy for a year, then I'll have sex with him. But I'm thinking back on that now, no, that is so messed up. And that, as a little kid, that's what I thought about. I was like, yeah, I have to be in a really good relationship for at least a year to have sex with someone, because then I'll be good. After that year, oh yeah, then I'll be good. Do you recommend that people wait until marriage to have sex? I would say that you should wait until you are older, because you will be more informed of the potential health concerns and be confident with your morals. Teenagers often act on curiosity and what the media tells them about sex. If you are someone that did these interviews or are watching these, thank you for doing this. This helped my project so much, and you guys are so brave for what you did and sharing your experiences, and now I get to share them with the world, and I'm really excited about this, and I just think that other people's experiences really help people to think about these topics, so thank you. I also wanted to do this from everyday people because professionals and statistics are really hard to relate to, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting information that most people could actually relate to. And we do see that some people who regret having sex before marriage, it wasn't just because of the spiritual relationship, but it's also because the sexual relationships that they had were affecting them mentally, and I think that that's a huge part of sex, is how it affects your body and your mental health. And yes, I feel like in school we do have health class, so we're learning about this information, and in church we learn about this, not a lot. I feel like that's one of the topics that they try to leave out of everything, but if you are in the church, please influence people to start talking about this. So some takeaways that I learned from my project are that I 100% am definitely going to wait, and I think that that is a huge decision that I had to make in my life about a year ago, probably, or before that. And I really just wanted to give you guys some understanding and context about this topic, and I really just want you guys to consider waiting, because there are so many benefits from waiting, and your relationship just grows so much with God. I promise you, you will not regret it, and if you do, then you can comment on this video and virtually slap me. But that won't happen, because you're not going to regret it. So if you guys have any comments or concerns, questions, anything like that, please comment them down below so that I can answer them for you. It really allowed me to see that I can do it, and even if some people tell me that I'm not going to be able to wait until marriage, or that it's impossible. Like, some people have definitely said that to me. Like, it's impossible. You're not going to be able to wait until marriage. There's going to be like this college guy that you're going to meet and you're going to fall in love and you're going to end up losing your virginity to him. But to all those people, no, I'm not. I promise you. If anyone tries to get you down, just know that they're going to have their own opinions, and if you're doing it for God, then obviously you have the right heart and you know what your morals are and you know that you are going to be successful. So just keep that in mind and don't let anyone peer pressure you into doing anything or influence what you want, because if you want something, then go for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that I got through to you and that you really learned something from this. That is my major goal on this channel, is to really just spread the word of God and just help you guys to get more involved in being a Christian and following God, because it will change your life. I promise you that. I love you guys. Have a great rest of the year, rest of the week, rest of the month. Make sure you spend time with your family and with God, of course, and I will see you in my next video.